one of your esteemed leaders, Ben Metz, joined in the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge studio by the one, the only Playboy Marty. What's up, Playboy Marty?
What's up, big guy? I'm fired up to talk some fantasy. I had a pretty good week last week, both leagues. I actually went 1-1, but had an okay showing in the one that I lost in. So ready to dive into it.
And we also got Tyler Moody on the Zoom call from Shreveport, looking way too sharp for this Wednesday late night crowd here.
Oh, Tyler looks great.
Well, last week Ben wore the collared shirt and I didn't, so I felt like I was being outmatched, and I wanted to try and match your energy today, Ben. So I was trying to step my game up to match you, and now you have downgraded. So we haven't quite got on the same page with that just yet, but hopefully we will be with the fantasy football advice.
Well, we got first of all, just for our listeners, we had good feedback from last week. First edition. I love what Martin's done with our Dear Mr. Fantasy graphics, and I hope people have gotten to see the preview videos because we've certainly. Martin's certainly throwing some funny stuff out there. And we're going to keep this coming. Just as far as our overview for the show, last week we did kind of more of a recap. We're going to touch on injuries because there were so many in week 2, and then who to look for going forward. And we're also going to kind of it's going to be more of a preview of this week's games.
I'm ready to get into preview.
Yeah, that was kind of the original goal of it. And last week there's just so much info to recap in fantasy. We're trying to condense it into around 1 hour. So that's kind of where we're at with it. And, well, guys, I guess let's just start right with it with all the injuries this week. We got to first start with the Christian McCaffrey one because he was the number 1 overall pick in fantasy. 4 to 6 weeks with a high ankle sprain. Mike Davis looks to be replacing him in Carolina, but can anybody really do it? Tyler Moody, what were your thoughts on this Run CMC injury?
No, I don't think anybody in the entire NFL may be able to replace what Christian McCaffrey does. And he's such an explosive athlete. He can do everything. He catches the football better than anybody in the NFL out of the backfield, probably. His elusiveness, his ability to cut on a dime. Like, he's a perfect athlete, right? He's an absolutely incredible player. Mike Davis is a journeyman, and I have a feeling he'll step in. He'll be okay here, but there is no possible way that he's going to be able to fill the role that Christian McCaffrey is leaving behind. But here's the important thing. There was so much usage built into this offense for Christian McCaffrey that whoever's in the backfield for Carolina is going to get some usage. So there's definitely still some value there, but not Christian McCaffrey value by any means.
Yeah, that was a huge, huge loss for Carolina. And then you got to look at them going forward. The whole offense built around McCaffrey. I mean, how much is that going to hurt the rest of the value of the players, too, with Teddy Bridgewater? I know DJ Moore did have 8 for 120 last week, but certainly not good news in fantasy. I mean, McCaffrey easily the number 1 player.
Yeah, no, I think Curtis Samuel could be a maybe add, like in deep leagues. Like, he could get some backfield work with Christian McCaffrey out. And but this is getting a little ahead of myself, but I kind of don't hate it for Moore and Anderson. I mean, they're going to be throwing a lot because they're going to be down.
Yeah, that is true. But
yeah, and I like Teddy in deep QB leagues too.
Well, he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, and Carolina looks to certainly be facing a long rebuild. Saquon Barkley goes down for the season with the knee injury at Chicago, and man, it just kind of been one thing after another for him the last couple of years. Last year he had the big high ankle sprain in week 2. At Tampa, and man, this Giants offense already looked like a mess. And I know Dion Lewis is going to catch a lot of balls. I believe they signed Devonte Freeman as well. Moody, what are your thoughts on this?
Has there ever been a time when the top 2 picks in fantasy football have gone down on the same weekend? I mean, that's just absolutely crazy to begin with. But you feel bad for Saquon Barkley, man. He's run into it the last couple of years. He's clearly one of the top 3 most talented backs in this league, and playing on a team where he has to do a lot, I think that's part of the reason you're seeing him get hurt a lot here early on in his career. It's unfortunate, it's unlucky. I hope he doesn't get labeled injury prone, but I think moving into drafts the next couple of years, that may be something that pops up with him. But right now, Dion Lewis is going to be the guy catching the football out of the backfield. I think there's some value there in PPR leagues, and I think Devonte Freeman is potentially going to have enough value in standard leagues as well. If I was choosing, though, I think Devonte Freeman would be the guy that I would want more because he can also catch the ball out of the backfield. Okay. They gave him $3 million. It's shaping up for him to take over that backfield as we move forward. So maybe you'll have Devonte Freeman not play as much of a role this week, but moving forward after this week, I think you see that become Devonte Freeman's backfield, assuming that he can stay healthy as well.
I agree, and I actually added Devonte in one of my leagues. I was 4th in waivers. I wanted to get obviously Mike Davis, and then I wanted Mckinnon as well, but ended up getting Freeman, and I'm okay with it. I'm probably not starting him this week, but I I don't hate it. I don't hate what he can do. We've seen that he can be a productive back in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think his usage will be pretty high. First week, it's hard to use him this week. They're playing the Niners. Well, what's left of the Niners, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. But I think that he's a solid guy to have as a backup running back for sure, especially because his usage should be pretty good. But that was just the start of the week 2 injuries. I mean, I thought Sunday was one of the worst I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like. Let's just go ahead and hit on the Niners thing. Have y'all ever seen a team get hit this hard this early? We're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, Mostert, Tevin Coleman, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and then on defense they lose Bosa, D Ford, and Richard Sherman. I mean,
and Solomon Thomas.
Yeah, and Solomon Thomas.
You already said that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been so many that I left a couple out. So let's talk about what's left here. I mean, they're going to go with Nick Mullins, who's looked like a competent backup. What we've seen from Southern Miss, Golden Eagles, Southern Miss to the top.
He was okay last year.
Yeah, it was 2 years. Yeah, he wasn't horrible. It was 2 years ago. I remember after Garoppolo tore his knee up. Jerick McKinnon, who has himself had a lot of injuries, had the torn ACL last year. All of a sudden he's stepping into a prominent role. We know he can catch the ball out of the backfield. Tyler Moody, do you think he's a big add this week?
Yeah, for this week, I believe Mostert's going to be healthy, eventually, right? He's doubtful for this week, so they expected him not to play. I do think at some point he'll be back in this lineup, and he's clearly the most talented back in the backfield. McKinnon is good. I do like Jerick McKinnon. If you remember, he set the spark record coming out of college or high school. The guy's a freak athlete, but this week, I think McKinnon is certainly somebody you would like to have in your lineups, especially if you're playing daily fantasy. He may be over-owned in daily fantasy, but if you were lucky enough to scoop him up before this week or catch him after the waiver wire, I think he's going to have some value to trot out there this week on Sunday.
Well, you looking at the rest of their weapons, Jordan Reid came back from the dead with 7 catches for 50 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. If Kittle remains solid, I guess somebody's got to catch balls. Their receiving core, what have they done to Kendrick Bourne and Trent Taylor? And it's rough out there, even though we do love Trent Taylor, Shreveport.
Yeah.
It's
look.
Jordan Reid, I don't hate.
For a spot start, not
just
at all.
Stash on your bench, yeah.
Or just this week if you're desperate at tight end.
Yeah.
With people down.
Yeah.
The
one thing that Jordan Reid has done is produce when he's on the football field. But when is he ever on the football field? I would be worried if I'm the 49ers, he gets hurt this Sunday, you know what I mean? But I actually think Jordan Reid, if Garoppolo gets back under center, I'm not trusting him very much with Mullins under center, but once Garoppolo's back under center, then I think Jordan Reid's going to have some value if Kittle's out. So it's a weird situation because, Reid is a sneaky stash right now, but his playable value is just not really there. So he's someone you should have on your bench and observe as this team tries to figure out what they are moving forward over the next couple weeks.
Another team hit hard by the injury bug, the Denver Broncos, which started with Von Miller having the freak ankle injury before the season. Now Cortland Sutton out for the year with a torn ACL, and Drew Lock went down with a shoulder injury. I got to say, nobody talked about it. What an effort by Jeff Driscoll. They almost had a chance to win in Pittsburgh with him in there last week. The Pittsburgh's got top 3 defenses in the league, I think. They're unreal. And, with Driscoll, they had the ball down 5 late in the game with a chance to win. As far as Denver's fantasy value off the stuff, Driscoll ain't going to be better in the passing game than Locke, but Jerry Jeudy's now their number 1 receiver with Cortland Sutton out. I don't know if he's quite a week to week, but he's certainly a guy I like having on rosters to see if he can break out.
Oh, I love him this week, and whenever we preview that game, that's probably my biggest point for this Tampa Bay Denver game is if you drafted Jerry Jeudy for the upside potential, this is the game you start him. That Tampa Bay secondary is not their strength. I really think if you have him and have some injury issues, especially if you drafted him as Cortland Sutton insurance, I think he might be a must play this week.
Yeah, I've got him stashed on a bunch of teams. He was my favorite of all the rookie receivers. Just because he's so dynamic. He's one of the best route runners I've ever seen. The human joystick and how he can accelerate in the open field, and so he's a guy I'm certainly going to be watching very, very closely.
Don't be surprised if Jeff Driscoll looks like a backup quarterback on Sunday.
I think that's fair
as well. Pittsburgh wasn't quite prepared for him. I think Pittsburgh wasn't quite prepared for him. He got thrown in, did some things with his legs, and he's a guy that can get on the move and make throws on the run and whatnot. He's a decent backup, but I think we might see him like a backup on Sunday. I think it's possible.
Who was the last Louisiana Tech Bulldog to have a good start in the NFL?
Was it Tim Rattay?
Got to be.
Gary Bradshaw.
No, they had the quarterback. Luke McCown was in the NFL.
Oh, Luke McCown.
Luke McCown was in the NFL forever.
All right, yeah, and he was in that Verizon commercial, whatever it was.
Luke McCann, I remember he started for Drew Brees in Carolina a few years ago when Brees had a shoulder injury.
Yeah, he got that. He got that commercial out of it,
and they almost won. So I guess that's your answer. I remember Tim Rattay replaced Jeff Garcia on a Monday Night Football forever ago and crushed it.
Yeah.
And
I saw Luke McCown face the Miami Hurricanes in Independence Stadium in 2003.
Wow,
fun fact.
Yeah, that was like those are the good Miami Hurricanes. Those are a little different than
Frank Gore is still playing,
and now his son plays for Southern Miss. Yeah. Go figure. Well, do y'all have any other big injuries y'all want to touch on for the week, or y'all want to before we get into the preview?
Those are the major ones for me. We didn't talk a whole lot about Cortland Sutton because he didn't really get started this season. But I had high hopes for him. I actually drafted him in one of my leagues. I think he was my 5th round pick in that league. So that was a big blow for me. And I also have Saquon in that league. So
times are hard.
Struggle.
Yeah, I was pretty.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Paying attention to Devonte Adams, obviously he was the number 1 wide receiver after week 1. I think a lot of people are looking at him to be one of the guys who carry them on a team. So he's always dealing with something. It's usually the ankle. Right now it's the hamstring. It feels like Devontae's always beat up, man. You're like, dang, bro, you feel bad for him because he's one of the best players in the league, especially on the outside. So I'd like to see him get healthy. So he's someone I'm paying attention to. I own him in a couple leagues, and I'd like to see him be healthy down the stretch here.
I think he's supposed to play, but the Sunday night kickoff, if you're a Devonte Adams owner, definitely want to monitor that.
Oh, we have to talk about one more thing before we move on here. The freak accident that is this Tyrod Taylor thing and the door that it is open for the person that should have been starting the entire time here. I don't know if y'all have seen this crazy story.
Yes.
Tyrod apparently had cracked rib, and then he was getting a pain-killing injection. The doctor actually punctured his lung. Right there.
And apparently we had Dr. Stephen Etheridge on Hanging with Esther today, and he said that's actually like a thing that they say before they give that injection. They were like, there's a chance something like this could happen, but like still pretty inexcusable. And for a player in Tyrod's situation where you're just trying to survive and like play as long as you can, like you're really putting me at in an instance where I could lose a lot of money here, like down the road, long term. Like, I think it stinks.
It's horrible. I feel terrible for Tyrod Taylor, but for fantasy value for the Chargers, it's good.
As an Austin Eckler owner, I don't hate it.
Yeah, but for everybody, and it looks like Justin Hebert is going again this week. I mean, at least that's what I've seen.
Yeah, so Justin Herbert, I got a chance. Look, y'all know I worked in Oregon for a little bit. I got a chance to see him play a full season up there. Just an dude. He's an incredible arm talent. I worry a little bit about him and his mental makeup. He doesn't seem to have that killer instinct. I just never got that from him, and we were around him quite a bit. But maybe he'll prove us wrong. But I'll tell you, the talent is there. Dude can flat out throw the football. He's got legs. The brain is here. I'm not worried about Justin Herbert. I think he's actually going to be a very strong quarterback in this league for years to come. And right now, Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry owners should be elated because he can actually throw the football. And if you're a Keenan Allen owner, I think he's going to get locked onto him kind of like he did in his junior season there at Oregon. So looking forward to watching the Chargers moving forward. I think they finally or they are going to become an exciting team here with Justin Herbert, at least from a fantasy outlook.
We're in an homage to our good friend T-Bob Hebert. He's Justin Hebert in South Louisiana on Dear Mr. Fantasy Moody. So I'm just letting you know that we're doing that as an homage to South Louisiana. Keeping the Hebert quarterback tradition going strong. But that's a crazy story with Tyrod Taylor. All right, let's hit this preview. Jacksonville, Miami, Thursday night. What a fun, random, wild quarterback matchup here with Minshew and Fitzy. It's fun.
I'm excited about it, and typically, Miami, Jacksonville would be one of those games we laugh at, and we have laughed at it, and I'm sure many other people are laughing at it. But, it's a quarterback matchup I'm looking forward to. Fitzy, I think Fitzy's a decent play here, honestly, in 2 QB leagues, not in a standard 1 QB league. But I'm pumped for it, and Minshew continues to be one of my favorite players, maybe ever in the entire NFL.
Yeah, Jacksonville last week, you got to give Minshew a ton of credit. Man, they very easily could have won that game in Tennessee.
He's it for now. Like he may not be it for like 10 years down the road, but he's their guy right now.
Oh, I definitely think so. And last year, I remember when they yanked him out and put Foles in was when they went down the toilet last year. But certainly a gutsy effort. A lot of guys might have fantasy value in this game, Moody. The over-under's 48, but it seems like both teams could score some points here.
I think there's going to be some points. You got the battle of the mustache versus the beard. Love it, man. Minshew versus Fitzmagic here. It should be a pretty good football game between, 2 teams that are clearly aren't going to make the playoffs, but it should be an exciting game. As you mentioned, over-under's 48 in this one. A sneaky good play, I think, is James Robinson here. He's taken over this backfield, and he appears to be the guy. So I kind of like him in this game. Keelan Cole continues to impress me a little bit.
Chenault.
Levon Chenault, the Colorado first-round pick for the Jags.
Like Tyreek Hill, but 6'2".
Yeah, he's interesting, man. He's not a great route runner, right? You can see he's having trouble, and his route tree's not very advanced, right? But he's quick, so he's someone to pay attention to. And on the Miami side, I guess Gesicki at tight end makes.
He had 130 yards and a touchdown last week.
That's really it, though.
Struggles against the tight end, so I think that's a spot for just Gesicki this week.
But that's really it, though. There's no other Dolphins that I really think are playable this week. I mean, they're just
Devontae Parker.
Yeah, okay, he's playable, but you're not excited about it. I love all the Jacksonville receivers. Miami pass defense doesn't look like they've been able to stop anybody. Byron Jones injury, exactly.
Byron Jones injury is a killer. I mean, Josh Allen threw for over 400 yards against him last week.
Yeah, exactly, man. So I have DJ Chark in a league, 100% starting him. I picked up Chenault on the waiver wire. Probably not getting him in my lineup this week, but I'm excited about it. And yeah, Keenan Cole, like Moody said, very decent stash in a deep league. And Robinson, I'm upset I missed out on. He's ended up being the best waiver pickup, of the previous week. Not this one, but upset I don't have him. I think he's going to be good.
Certainly. Well, I think that's about all I got on that one. Let's start pushing forward into Sunday, and a bunch of interesting, fun matchups on Sunday. We'll start with the fantasy value, the 2-0 matchup of the Rams and the Bills. Interesting one here.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, the Rams, who I got to admit, I thought their demise was I greatly exaggerated it, have looked incredibly strong the last couple of weeks. And they do a creative job. Robert Woods, they use him in very interesting ways. Very solid fantasy. Goff is playing well. Moody, I know you kind of went to bat for Jared Goff last week. Tyler Higbee, 3 touchdowns last week at tight end. And, we had the 4 straight 100-yard games late last season. And then the Rams running back situation looks like Darrell Henderson, the flavor of the week, with some injuries to Malcolm Brown and Cam Akers.
Oh, sorry, Moody.
Yeah, y'all lag a little bit for me, so sometimes if I jump over you, I do apologize, bro. You can go ahead right here, actually.
Okay. My main thing about this game is I think the Rams running back situation is just absolutely impossible to peg right now. I mean, Henderson played well last week. Malcolm Brown obviously played really well against the Cowboys. Cam Akers was a second-round pick. You got to imagine they're going to play him at some point. But right now they appear committed to that 3 running back backfield. Similar situation to Detroit right now. And I just don't think you can play a Rams running back right now unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah, it's just too dicey at the moment for you to know exactly who you're going to start in that backfield. But you can start 3 receivers for this team. You can start Jared Goff any given week. I would not start him this week on the road in Buffalo. I think this is one week I would shy away from Jared Goff. I think it's going to be an interesting football game. But I love the Rams offense, man. They've got one of the best offensive minds running this team. People were sleeping on them just because they kind of fell off a little bit last year. This was a Super Bowl team 2 years ago. And, yeah, they've lost some things on defense, and their defense is not going to be as good. But that is amazing for fantasy because that means Jared Goff is going to be in a spot where he has to throw the football a lot. I love it for Cooper Kupp. I love it for Higbee. And I certainly love it for Robert Woods. I like the Rams offense. I think they're going to be good for fantasy throughout the course of the year. On the flip side of this for the Bills, Jared Allen's the real deal.
Josh Allen.
Stephon Diggs is someone that Josh Allen. And then every single week, Stephon Diggs must be in your lineup.
Yeah, and I actually think the Rams, how good their defense is, makes their wide receivers a little less valuable. Like, I don't think Cooper Kupp and Woods are must plays this week. I know they'll get a lot of they'll be played in a lot of leagues just because of.
You have to, yeah.
Yeah, right. Certain teams just they're going to have to, but I don't think they're must plays. And on the Buffalo side, I know we haven't said a whole lot, but first off, Stephon Diggs fell way too far in fantasy drafts.
Yeah, and also
fell way too far.
And we'll get to this with Minnesota. His impact on both the Bills and the Vikings has been just astronomical. When you look at what's happened to Josh Allen, who has 750 yards passing in 2 games, and what's happened to Kirk Cousins since Stephon Diggs left. And all of a sudden, you look at Buffalo with Diggs and John Brown and Cole Beasley in the slot, and Dawson Knox, pass-catching tight end, and all of a sudden they got some dudes out there. And I know, Moody, you said how high you are on Josh Allen. My question is this. He's done it against 2 cream puffs in the Jets and the Dolphins. this is definitely going to be the best defense he's played. And Ramsey versus Diggs is going to be worth watching.
I'm pumped for this game. This might be the game I'm most looking forward to in this car, and I'm pretty sure I'm betting the Rams too. So this is going to be an exciting one. And another wrinkle to this on the Buffalo side, I think Zach Moss and Devin Singletary are decent plays if you're injury riddled this week. The Rams are actually giving up a decent amount of points to running backs. So yeah, I don't hate that.
No, I completely agree with that. Everything y'all just said. One other thing, I think Cooper Kupp will have a good week because Buffalo gets after the quarterback. I believe the Rams will want to get rid of the football quickly. I think it's a good week for Cooper Kupp here. Woods maybe not as much, but I do like Kupp. So.
Buffalo's got a couple linebacker. Buffalo has a couple injuries at linebacker right now and has backups in that could affect Tyler Higbee.
That's a good point too. Higbee and Kupp, I think, have a slightly better game here than Robert Woods, in my opinion.
Moody, Josh Allen has been the story in fantasy football so far this year. I know you said last week he was for real. Do you think as they, start not playing the Dolphins and Jets, he keeps this rolling? Yeah,
look, his legs are going to work every single week, no matter who's playing. I think that's one of the things that that's what's making him have so much value, right? Like if you look at just what he's doing through the air, it's good. It's good, right? It's above average. It's just good enough. But when you add in what he can do with his legs and running for touchdowns, he becomes a very, very scary threat, especially in fantasy. So I think it's going to continue. Will it continue quite at the rate it did the first 2 weeks? Probably not. You'll see a slight downturn. Of course, as the teams get better, that'll happen. But Josh Allen is a competitor. You can see this guy's got it in him. And I think we're going to see over the next 6 to 7 years us come to the conclusion that he's one of those quarterbacks that's willing to do anything to get a dub and sell his body out at the goal line, things like that. Like I get that sense from Josh Allen, and those are the kind of guys that you want leading your team. I think Buffalo's in a great spot moving forward, and I think fantasy owners that have Josh Allen should be happy as well.
What's actually interesting is Sean McDermott, the Bills coach, was the Carolina defensive coordinator, and I feel like Josh Allen's ascending into the Cam Newton role from the early Carolina days a little bit of a way.
What it feels like.
Yeah, it kind of seems a little similar. And, hey, Cam ended up with an MVP and almost won a Super Bowl during that time, so it certainly didn't go all bad. Carolina won a lot of games. Let's move on to the Washington football team heading to Cleveland. Cleveland got it going with the running game last week. Nick Chubb had a monster game. Certainly we saw them run for, I believe, 216 yards against the Cincinnati Bengals as a team. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt doing well. Feels like that's what's going to be coming for Cleveland. If they're going to win, they're going to stick to I think they got to stick to this running game, and it's unfortunate for Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham from fantasy football perspective.
It is, and Odell, as much as I like him, he's really a boomer bust player now. Early in his career in the Eli days, he was obviously like a must start every single week because he would have 9 to 10 catches on the low end. And he just doesn't have that now. He doesn't get the targets that he used to get. So Odell is, I wouldn't say he's a spot play, but he's definitely a matchup play, I would say. He's not you don't have to play him every week. I think Jarvis is still a decent PPR play. But, that's my feelings on Cleveland wide receivers. Running backs, though, both Hunt and Chubb were good plays last week. They actually ended up being pretty good plays. And I would look for Hunt. In games that we think Cleveland's going to win, I would look for him to be more productive. And in games that are going to be closer, I would look for Chubb to be more productive.
Yeah, I think games where Cleveland is going to be ahead, I think maybe where you see Chubb more because they're going to run the football then. And Hunt kind of become more the pass-catching back. So chance when they're down for him to see more action late. I think this is a game where Nick Chubb Look, Washington is really stout up front against the run. So this is an interesting game as far as how Cleveland will play. I actually kind of like Washington here, and I don't like Washington at all, to be real, but I like them a little bit in this game for some reason. So I'm starting Chubb. I had him in 2 leagues. He must be in my lineup. I have no choice.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not super excited about it this week. This is a week where I think I like Kareem Hunt a little bit more because of how stout Washington's front four especially are.
Yeah, and let me talk about someone that I really like is Terry McLaurin. I mean, he's someone that's proven that his ceiling weeks, they're in play just about every week for him, and I think Cleveland is a pretty good matchup for him in the pass game. I think if you have McLaurin, it would take a seriously good player for me to not play Mclaren.
And there's always the old subplot that I look for. Dwayne Haskins and Mclaren both being Ohio State guys, but playing in Cleveland. I mean, I know that doesn't technically matter, but they want to show out in this game. And the thing with the Redskins is McLaurin's easily the number one because, they don't have anybody else. And so his target share is great. I mean, he gets and Haskins and McLaren have a chemistry from Ohio State. Mm-hmm. And so they already have a good chemistry, and he continues, he's got to a point where, I think you can play him. I don't know how many yards Haskins is going to throw for every week, but majority of them are going to go to him.
Yeah, and we talked about Antonio Gibson last week, and I think he's trending up. He led that backfield in touches, and he even he converted on that one goal line possession. And yeah, I think you start Gibson against Cleveland too. I say this. I kind of don't love how many Redskins I like.
No,
I may be full of
football
it.
Football team.
Right, my bad.
Well, my point on this game, I actually don't love this from a fantasy perspective because Washington's got a stout front seven, so I think they're going to stack up against the Cleveland run, and I don't think this is going to be a very high-scoring game. But most Redskins games aren't, generally. So this isn't necessarily a game where I love a lot of people as far as fantasy value goes.
I actually like Odell this week.
Okay.
I think
I can see that they may have to throw here because Washington's got such a stout front seven.
I think that's the way Cleveland will attack in this game. We'll see if I'm right on Sunday. I may be super wrong here. I hope Nick Chubb runs for 700 yards, personally. But, I got a feeling they're going to be throwing the football a little bit, attacking Washington on the outside. That's where they're more susceptible. I think that'll be probably the attacking plan here for Cleveland. But if they get up early and Washington turns the ball over a couple times, which is incredibly likely, then I think Cleveland just runs the football in the second half with Chubb and puts the game away. So the first half is going to determine so much how this game in particular goes from a fantasy standpoint, in my opinion.
As game flow often does. It does. So listen,
I got one more thing to say on this. I said it last week, and I'm going to say it again as long as people keep ignoring me. Drop Austin Hooper. He's just bad. He's not a good play.
You think it was a product of the Atlanta Matt Ryan system?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Hayden Hurst looked good last week. We'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get – and also David Njoku's there too, so they actually have a couple tight ends.
Yeah, but someone sent a Dear Mr. Fantasy question last week that was like, should I start Austin Hooper? I was like, you should drop Austin Hooper. You should not be starting him. But, just wanted to say that again.
All right, let's hit this Vegas Raiders, who had the big win over the Saints Monday night, have a noon game traveling to play New England. I'll save my picks for OTB and for ESPN Baton Rouge Radio. We're going to stick to the fantasy perspective, but I have a strong opinion on this game.
I'll give my picks.
But Cam Newton, whoo, man. Throwing the football at Seattle last week, man. I didn't realize he was going to be able to throw the ball like that. I thought the running game would be good, but, man, he threw for almost 400 yards. And then Julian Edelman, who I was openly critical, I was like, Cam's not going to know what the slot receiver is all year. Like, had a career high, almost 200 yards receiving. And N'Keal Harry getting some targets. And,
he's relevant. I dropped him 1 week too early.
Yeah, but the thing about it was the running game hadn't really gotten going, so most of Cam was accounted for 80 or 85% of the offense. But if you got Cam as your second quarterback in a 2 QB fantasy league, congrats, because you should be feeling pretty good about your life right now.
Isn't it weird how surprised we are that Cam Newton and Bill Belichick were able to put it together? Isn't that kind of weird?
I'm not. I was pro it.
I don't mean us specifically. I just mean
I didn't know that he'd be able to throw the ball that well. Now I thought the running part he'd be balanced. I didn't know Cam was going to improve that much as a passer.
Sure,
but he's had so many shoulder and arm injuries that sitting out that last year with the list for as a foot injury last year. I think he finally has his arm healthy with all the arm issues he's had.
Yeah, no, and he's like you said earlier, he's really maximizing Edelman's value. Like, I don't want to say more than Brady ever did, but damn close. And he also makes N'Keal Harry and Damiere Byrd semi-relevant.
Byrd was an old Carolina guy with them too, so I guess maybe he kind of doesn't. But I don't know.
Oh, that's right.
They were all Carolina. As far as fantasy value goes, Cam's a must start every week in a 2 QB league, and certainly could start in a 1 if he keeps running the ball. He has games like last week. You're starting him
in two QB leagues that picked up Cam Newton as their second quarterback. Are going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, that's going to be. Yeah, that's definitely the way it looks. The Patriots running back situation is still a mess. I think
I say drop them all.
You can drop them all. But
James
White,
hang on to James.
Hang on to James White.
Horrible
what happened to his family.
Hearts go out to James White. Yep.
But the rest of it, I think Sonny Michel can go to the waiver wire now. I'm thinking so.
Yeah.
I think it's about that time.
Yeah. What do you think when Damian Harris comes back? Is there going to be a little value there potentially, or what? Maybe not.
In deep leagues.
Yeah. Okay.
He's
somebody I'm paying attention to for the long run for like dynasty leagues and whatnot.
No, that makes sense. And often we see rookie running backs the second half. Everybody always gets excited about them during fantasy drafts because of the new flavor. But it takes till the second half. They merge second half of their rookie year a lot once they learn the game and blocking and schemes.
Yeah.
And, it's just like a common problem in fantasy drafts, though. Everybody gets too excited about the rookie. And I've done it many times.
Can we talk about Darren Waller? I mean, I know this is upsetting to
No, I like talking.
Yeah, well,
it's upsetting.
Yeah, to our Saints fans listeners, I'm not trying to rub anything in, but I mean, damn, is he good? I mean, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Darren Waller. That's the order.
Well,
I'll tell it to you like this. I was down 20 points going into Monday night, and I got a dub. Thank you, Darren Waller.
All right.
Well, his athleticism blows me away because when you look at the Raiders, I mean, they got Henry Ruggs, who's still a non-established rookie who has potential, but, we've got to see. Got Renfro in the slot, but they don't have much at the receiver position, so they're going to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, him and Josh Jacobs are the only two guys that are super established on the offense right now. And the thing that's impressive about Waller is athleticism, and also, from a life perspective, he had some substance issues, and he still was athletic enough to get in the league, but now he's clean and sober, and got mind right. It's an important thing. I mean, it's a
shout out Josh Gordon, but and the Saints, it didn't seem like they had any idea what to do with him. They didn't have any idea. Like, they kept throwing different packages out there and just nothing.
Yeah, he's a must start every single week, and as is Josh Jacobs. I mean, just because the offense runs, he's bell cow 20. He said 27 for 88, 2 touchdowns. He could end up with a lot of touchdowns.
I mean, it's not impossible that Josh Jacobs leads the entire league in fantasy points.
And touchdowns especially, because, look, here's what they do not have outside of Darren Waller. Somebody to catch the football in the red zone. So what did they struggle with the most last year? Scoring points in the red zone. Josh Jacobs is their solution to getting into the end zone. He's been incredibly effective early on in the season. I think you'll continue to see that trend because it makes sense for them, who they are, and their personnel. It's just, I think he's going to have a monster season. I completely agree that he could lead the league in fantasy points, especially now that McCaffrey's gone.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not quite ready to anoint the Raiders' offensive line like just yet. And I mean, they were good in the passing game too. Derek Carr had plenty of time to throw.
They do have a pretty good line.
Yeah,
they've invested pretty heavily in that.
I think
that was the one streets of their team.
Okay, well then that's good. But we'll just see if that continues against New England. And my last point on this game is I still like Henry Ruggs as a buy low player if he's available in your league. I drafted him. I hung on to him. Something tells me if you sneak into your fantasy playoffs, he might be a guy that starts and wins you a game.
Well, he's certainly the home run threat. He's his speed is just. I mean, he's like a track guy out there.
I've just got a feeling he's going to win someone their fantasy league this year.
Let's hit on this Houston Texans heading to Pittsburgh. Boy, the schedule makers. Houston opens with at KC, Baltimore, at Pittsburgh. First three. Oh, God. That's about as tough as it gets. Houston struggling again last week. Will Fuller got bageled. Brandon Cooks had 95 yards. They played the Ravens. They got smoked 33-16. I expect them to struggle a lot again against this Pittsburgh front and defense. And I don't know that you can bench Deshaun Watson or David Johnson, but I don't like it. I mean, if you have better options, better matchups, go that way. I don't like this at all for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, Deshaun Watson, he's drafted as a QB1, so you kind of got to roll with him. But, he's not a great player right now. He has no time to throw it all. And guess what moron played Will Fuller last week?
Yeah.
Me. I did.
Yeah,
don't call yourself a moron for that one. He had a monster first week. He's clearly.
But that's what happens. That's what happens. I drafted him because maybe I'll get 3 games out of him and I'll be good. And of course, he has 1, and then the second I play him, he gets hurt. Of course.
He's dealing with the hamstring. We don't know how much that hamstring hampered him in this game, so I'm curious to see how that is moving forward. Do you feel more sorry for any player in the league right now than Deshaun Watson?
No, because he just signed a $170 million contract.
James White.
Okay, all right, well, fair, whatever. But I mean, once the game starts, I feel so bad for him because every single play, he has to create something with his legs. He's under pressure immediately, and you can't play the quarterback position to its peak whenever you're doing that every time you drop back. So, I feel really bad for Deshaun Watson. You're right. He got paid, but they took away his weapons. He's had no offensive line since the young man stepped in the league. And he's just taking a beating back there like no other quarterback I've seen recently.
Yeah, I'd bench all Texans if you have the means to do so. On the Pittsburgh front, man, great to see James Conner go over 100 last week because he had the sprained ankle on the Monday Night Football game. But man, he's had a lot of injuries and he had cancer in college. But dude's tough as nails. If he can breathe, he's going to play football. And I was thrilled to see him have that 16 for 106. And look, we got some interesting stuff to talk about. The Pittsburgh passing game. First of all, did they all of a sudden look like they got 3 weapons? Because Deontay Johnson stepping up, and then Claypool, the rookie out of Notre Dame, his size is, he looks like a tight end out there receiver, but he can run. And they're using him for vertical stuff down the field. As far as, fantasy week to week, I don't think he's quite to that point, but he gives them a big play threat in that offense.
He does, yeah.
And all of a sudden, and then Ebron, I don't know if it's quite a fantasy starter, but he's at least a weapon. At the tight end.
I'm a drop.
No, I'm not saying I start him. I'm not a fan. I'm just saying, but for the Steelers, it's another weapon. And so they've all said their skill positions aren't looking so bad.
Okay, yeah. From a fantasy perspective, I'm out on Ebron. No. If you can't do it against Denver, you can't do it against anybody. But I had this thought on Pittsburgh when I was doing my prep. And I think other than KC, they're the only team that has 3 players that I really, really like. I love James Conner, especially this week against Houston, bad run defense. Also, Tony Snell fumble. He may be out of the circle of trust.
Benny Snell.
What did I say?
Tony Snell, the NBA
guy.
guy.
Tony Snell. Yeah, no, Benny Snell. And Deontay Johnson still getting more targets than Juju. Got a touchdown last week, won me a game. And I still think Juju's a good play. I'm way more in on the Steelers than I ever thought I would be, like 2 weeks ago.
I think Big Ben back helps, right? You're talking about a quarterback who's had tons of receivers around him. He elevates players, right? That's what you're seeing right here. You're seeing a Hall of Fame quarterback elevate the players around him, and I think Big Ben is doing that. And these guys, look, are you feeling incredibly comfortable that, like, you're rolling Deontay Johnson out there every single week? Maybe not, but in a matchup like this against the Texans, you feel really good. Obviously, Juju's a must-start right now.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, Claypool is really interesting on the outside. He's going to become a red zone threat, I think, as we continue to move forward. And he's attacking down the field. So he's touchdown dependent, no doubt, but I think he could be a guy that could show us something later in the year. And then James Conner's the man in the backfield there. But I think this all comes down to Big Ben elevating players around him. He's pretty good about that.
Just one more thing. I think Jordan Akins, tight end for Houston. You could see his value rise later in the year with their with Houston's depleted underperforming wide receivers. Not now, obviously. No one go and add him now, but just write that name down, Jordan Akins.
The next game is the body bag game here, the Niners and Giants. Who's left? Nick Mullins going to start for the Niners. Jerick McKinnon at running back. Over-under is 41.5. Look, I'm debating taking under in this game. I think this is going to be...
What's the number?
42.
Ooh.
It's low, but this just feels... with what's left...
It's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a game to avoid a lot of people fancy. Good to see Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram played good last week.
He did. It's good to see. I think McKinnon's a must-start. And that's probably the only must start in this game. Yeah.
If you're desperate, you can go Jordan Reed again if Kittle's out.
Right.
Because Mullins locked onto the tight end a couple years ago whenever he was in there. That was a big thing for him.
That was when Kittle broke out.
Good point, Moody. I didn't even.
Kittle went bananas.
Ooh, yeah.
So this is a week. Not like the Giants are great against the tight end to begin with. So I would say this is a week. Whoever's in there at tight end needs a good play.
I don't hate that. Yeah. Jordan Reed, if you're desperate for a tight end, not a bad play this week. I like that.
Yeah, I'm desperate in one league. I'm wrong with them.
They may run. Look, you can split Jordan Reed and Kittle out. I think they both, even if Kittle is healthy, Reed's probably going to be on the field this week because he looked like their best receiver last week. They have no weapons on the outside, so why can't both of them have value?
Yeah.
And at least Nick Mullins, they've got he's got a decent amount of experience as a backup quarterback and in Shanahan's system. So he should be competent. I'm not saying to set the world on fire, but he should be competent. On the other side, the Giants side, Sterling Shepard hurt, so Ingram continues to have value. I didn't think Darius Slayton, who had the big Monday night game 2 weeks ago, would live up to too much.
I said that. I said that has fluke written all over it. That was a great throw by Jones, good hookup, in that Monday night game, but that had fluke written all over to me. And I don't think there's really that many Giants other than, I guess, Devontae Freeman now, Dion Lewis, that are even rosterable, to be honest.
I think Lewis is...
And Evan Ingram.
Yeah, sorry. Lewis is playable in this game if you're super desperate in PPR because I think Freeman's going to step forward, but this is still his first. He just got signed.
Yeah.
So his role is going to be limited this week. But, that's if you're totally different. Honestly, you can help it, dodge a lot of people in fantasy in this game. To be honest.
Oh yeah.
This is not the most.
Like this is a Jarrett McKinnon if you have him, and maybe Jordan Reid and Evan Ingram.
All right, let's hit this Tennessee-Minnesota game. Tennessee, Tannehill, had a 4-touchdown game. Excellent game. Jonnu Smith, 4 catches, 84 yards, 2 touchdowns last week. He's been a breakout tight end star so far, and he has a great role in this offense. He's extremely athletic in the open field, too. I've been impressed by him. A.J. Brown still banged up. Corey Davis had a touchdown last week. Minnesota's pass defense does not look good at all, so I think you could roll with Corey Davis. And then if you're desperate, especially PPR, Adam Humphries is getting a role in this offense. He had 5 catches last week and a touchdown. I think Tennessee's going to score some points throwing the ball on the turf against the Minnesota pass team. Very, very young at corner. Derrick Henry didn't have his best game last week. It seems like everybody that's playing Tennessee. Well, he's always a November, December cold weather guy and heats up as the season goes. And it seems like teams are really making a point to try to take him away too. And so Tannehill's having some stuff open in the passing game, but Tannehill continues to be a solid number 2 quarterback in fantasy as well if you're in a 2QB league.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about this game. I just think the Titans' defense is very average, very middle of the road. And we'll learn a lot about Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen this weekend. Cook, keeps getting bailed out by garbage TDs. Thielen, he didn't do much without the garbage TD last week. So I think we're going to learn a lot about them. And other than that, that's really all I got to say about this game.
Moody, you have anything?
I think Ryan Tannehill. I think Ryan Tannehill is going to start to regress. He cannot play at this level, and I'm not saying that he's not going to be viable, but he's not going to be a 4-touchdown quarterback every single week, in my opinion. He'll start to regress some, but he I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong. To be honest with you, Ryan Tannehill and this Tennessee offense are one of my biggest question marks in fantasy because I don't trust Tannehill, but he keeps putting up numbers. So I'm staying far away from it because I don't have a read on it. It's kind of my feeling, to be honest.
My thing on it is he's a play-action quarterback, and as long as they have that threat of Derrick Henry, I mean, the play-action stuff and rollouts, he's awesome. If you take away Henry and have him out there on 3rd and 10s and make him one-dimensional, he's going to struggle. It's kind of where I'm at on it. Sure. But as long as they have the threat of Henry, you can run all that play-action and stuff, they kind of cater to his strengths, and it works. So the running game – we see a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL that are like that too. You got Kirk Cousins, and Cleveland's trying to do the same thing with Mayfield now. You got to get the running game going and protect them and give them chances to win. All right,
hey, Moody, Minnesota's getting 2.5 points. Just FYI.
Yeah, I think this is a bounce back game for Minnesota. Everybody's selling Minnesota right now. They're done with them. I think Dalvin Cook has a good
2.5 points. I don't hate it either. I don't hate it either.
Yeah, I think Minnesota probably gets it.
I'm pro Tennessee, but I like Minnesota in this game. Home dog, 2.5 point. But you know what? This isn't my gambling show. That we got plenty more of that going on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's all jokes.
Yeah. Let's hit on speaking of jokes, let's talk about this Philadelphia offense and who's taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Carson Wentz's performance this year has been a joke. I can tell you that. Boy, the turnovers especially, they're just struggling. Wide receiver position still looks, they're trying to turn back time with Deshaun Jackson. Jalen Reagor, the rookie out there, they're struggling. Philadelphia against Cincinnati. Good to see Miles Sanders back out there and healthy. At least the Eagles have one person I like in fantasy with him.
Yeah, he's proven to be okay as an RB1, which is what a lot of people drafted him as. And, he fell in a lot of leagues. He definitely fell in both my leagues. So those people that got him in those leagues that were lucky enough to get him there, that's pretty good value.
Well, good matchup for him here after Cincinnati is banged up on the D-line with Cleveland running for over 200 yards. And, what do you do with the struggling quarterback? You give him some help in the running game. So I think Miles Sanders is a huge play this week at home against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think they're last in the league in terms of, fantasy points for running backs, besides maybe Carolina. So, yeah, no, this is a very good matchup. And I also think this is a good chance, against Cincinnati to see – what Reagor and Deshaun Jackson actually are, if they're anything, as far as fantasy value goes. I just think it's a decent matchup for them.
It's tough to trust the Eagles tight. They love to throw the tight ends, obviously with Ertz and Goddard. But man, I don't like a lot of stuff I've seen so far out of Wentz.
Jalen Reagor actually was placed on the IR later today or earlier.
Oh wow,
at 2:30, I guess. So he's out with a torn UCL and a stump. So he's gone.
All right, so stumped us there. All right.
I think if you're looking for someone, I'm not saying it's going to turn into anything, but J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, I think he was their first-round pick last year. Dude, He was pretty good. He's an Arizona State guy.
He's Stanford.
Oh, yeah.
Stanford. Arcega-Whiteside, Stanford.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Stanford, my bad. I knew
he wasn't a first rounder. He wasn't a first rounder.
Yeah.
Either way, go Devils.
Either way, he was high enough. He was high enough for me to think that he's going to do something for them at some point. But we'll see, man. I feel bad for Carson Wentz. He's got no weapons. He's got Ertz and Godere. That's about it.
But this could be the Deshaun Jackson catch a bomb or two week. There's always one or two of those weeks if he's healthy. I think it's in play with Cincinnati. Let's touch on the Bengals.
Yeah. No.
I want to touch on the Bengals side of it. Look, I like what I'm seeing out of Joe Burrow. However, the 61 passes for 320-something yards is a little concerning. And I'm not blaming it on Burrow. I think he's doing the best he can with the situation. Their offensive.
You mean the yards per attempt?
Yes, the yards per attempt are concerning. Worried about their offensive line. The Eagles still have a pretty good defensive line despite all their problems. Also, just to be transparent, man, look, I know it's only 2 weeks, and I was really hoping for the A.J. Green bounce back. Have not loved what I've seen so far.
I got a lot to say on that because I have him in a league, and I just want to have a personal conversation with all the A.J. Green owners out there. Glass half empty. He had 3 catches, and he looked really old. Glass half full. He had 13 targets. I don't know. I'm hanging on that he's still going to have fantasy value. But, if he doesn't, which seems fairly likely, I think there's a good chance we'll see Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, or Auden Tate become bigger parts of this offense that you may want to invest in down the road.
Well, Tyler Boyd's had 2 1,000-yard seasons back-to-back. He had 7 catches, 73, and a touchdown in the Cleveland game. It looks like Burrow wants the Green thing to work, though. Like you said, 13 targets. He's been the guy he's been trying to go to. I mean, he really wants it to work. I just don't, and then look, drafting Green this year in fantasy, I love the upside because you can get him late. You knew that he might get hurt or bust, but you figured, hey, if it goes right, you get him at a good value. And so, I mean, I don't regret it necessarily because the target share's there, but, I'm a little concerned at this point.
Yeah, do we keep going?
A.J. Green goes over 15 points this week against the Eagles.
All right, good. Okay.
I hope you're right.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
He got 13 Look, honestly, guys, you hear me. Ben, you've been with me long enough to know that sometimes I don't care about the player. I care about the usage. I care about the target share. You're talking about a guy that if the football is close to his hands, he will make the catch. Yeah, he's a little slower. He's not beating you quite as well off the line. He's not beating you downfield. But when the football is in the vicinity, and it missed quite a bit, to knock Burrow a little bit, he missed a lot of throws in this game, especially out of those 13 targets. I think A.J. Green is going to have a really good game, especially against an undermanned secondary for the Eagles. I like A.J. Green moving forward. The targets are there. So that, to me, that means a lot, especially for a guy that's got incredible hands like A.J. Green.
What do y'all think about Joe Mixon this week?
Oh, I was just going to ask, do we have any Joe Mixon owners here?
I'm not.
No. I wouldn't love it.
Me.
I wouldn't love.
Put my hand up.
Oh, you are? Yeah. No. I'm not shaming. I'm not shaming the Joe Mixon pick. Late.
Well, as a Joe Mixon owner, let me tell you that it's scary as hell owning him right now because you put too much draft stock in him, right? You hate to draft a Cincinnati Bengal in the first 2 rounds, but I'm in their spot, so I have to start Mixon every week as my second running back. So he's in there. I'm going to ride with him, but man, you do not feel good about it because this offensive line is brutal.
And how much does it bother you seeing Giovanni Bernard getting on the field in prime running back target situations? I mean, it seems like when you really expect the running back to get the ball, Gio's in there, and he had a touchdown against Cleveland, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I hate it. I completely hate it, especially whenever Mixon. You just gave Mixon a huge contract. He's supposed to be your workhorse. Let him get those spots, but.
But we kind of see that in fantasy. Guys get the big contract and then have a disappointing season.
Yeah, just this Moody's point coming back to the O-line thing is just, I mean, it's not good. It's not. It's there's good, not good. That's Cincinnati's firmly on the not good. Bobby Hart, I don't know how he's in the NFL at right tackle. He's going to give their fans a heart attack.
He's getting worked. I kind of feel bad for the guy because he's just getting destroyed out there. All
right, let's move on to Atlanta, where Moody, you always are the Matt Ryan fan. What an awesome effort they wasted last week in that. First team in NFL history to have 39 points or more, no turnovers, and lose. It was 440-0 before Atlanta pulled that off. But what's been interesting about Atlanta to me this year is it hadn't just been all Julio, and I know Calvin Ridley was popular going in, but Russell Gage also starting out the year doing extremely well. And so now they have 3 wide receiver targets they really trust. And, we saw Mohamed Sanu have success in that slot role a couple of years ago. There's room for that third guy in Atlanta with how much they like to throw. So, Julio, Gage, and Ridley have all looked good. And even with Chicago having a better defense, I still like all the Atlanta guys in the Dome.
Hey, and Hayden Hurst, I told y'all, when you're not playing Jamal Adams, it's a lot easier when you're a tight end. And he had that long touchdown to prove it. So just wanted to reiterate that I was right. And something I wanted to ask, is Julio done as a wide receiver 1?
No.
In fantasy? No?
No.
I don't think so.
I mean, Ridley's getting the bigger opportunities, and Julio's not really getting the deep balls that he used to.
I think what you're going to see here soon is that people are going to start to realize, like, Calvin Ridley is ripping teams apart, and they're going to have to start playing Calvin Ridley like they play Julio. You know, Julio gets a lot of double teams, and who benefits? Russell Gage and Calvin Ridley.
Yep.
At some point, some team is going to be out there and they're going to say, man, we can't let Ridley rip us today. Like, he's got 100 yards in the first half, and then you'll see Julio go off, right? And I think that's going to be the thing for Atlanta every single week is that if they take away Julio, Ridley's going to beat you. Let's say they take away Ridley. Here's Julio. They do a good job locking down both of them. Oh, here's Russell Gage and Hayden Hurst. There is enough weapons and a great quarterback, in my personal opinion, back there under center for Atlanta from a fantasy perspective, that every single one of those guys is startable on a week-to-week basis, especially Julio and Calvin. They are must-starts. You never sit them on your bench from here on out.
Yeah.
And I learned something about myself on Sunday, guys. I'm no longer a Cowboys fan. I was pulling for the Falcons. I cannot lie to you.
Oh, wow.
I know you're Saints fans. Hate to hear it. I think I'm officially a Falcons fan. Like, but I didn't mean for it to.
Rise up, baby. Rise up, baby.
I can't believe it. No team is choking harder than the freaking Atlanta Falcons, and I'm like in love with Matt Ryan. I don't know what it is.
Hey, Bird Gang.
I will ride with him every single day, man. He's my guy.
No, I'm glad this is a fantasy show because otherwise it wouldn't
No,
be.
I'm not. I wanted to be very clear. Not a Falcons fan, even in the slightest. Nobody hate me. Nobody hate me at all. Rise up is Phoenix Suns slogan as well, so that's what I was referencing. What do we think of Gurley? I kind of hate him.
I didn't like him at all going into the year. I thought he was completely washed. He was a no draft. He was just on. I mean, there was no chance he was going to be part of anything I did.
I was kind of with you on that. I mean, I'd have taken him super late, which means he was not going to be on my team ever. They pulled him in that goal to go series. Right now, I think he's a flex at best. Actually, he's probably still flex, but like maybe like a low ceiling RB2, like at best. Like, if I spent like a 5th round pick on Gurley, which is about where he was going, I'm feeling really bad about that right now.
Yeah, he obviously hasn't hit his ADP yet. I'm a little bit on the other side of this for you guys. I'm not done. I'm not jumping off the Ty Gurley bandwagon just yet. Not yet. Maybe it's my Atlanta bias. Maybe that's what it is. But I think Ty Gurley's going to get some touchdowns down the stretch, man. This is a team that's going to score a lot of points. At some point, those points are going to fall into Ty Gurley's lap. So I'm not ready to sell all of my Todd Gurley stock just yet, but I did sell a little bit.
On the Bears front, I mean, I had to do not draft on everybody on this team for a reason. I know some people have Allen Robinson and went down that rabbit hole, but that means you have to watch Trubisky every week, which I just didn't want to get involved with. And that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, is there anybody from Bears you want to play here?
Okay, so the only reason I have Allen Robinson is because I went running back, quarterback, and then when it got back to me in the 4th round, I needed a receiver. So that's just where I went.
Yeah, and that's where I was taking DK Metcalf 2 rounds in advance, like in that spot.
That
was what I was doing in all my drafts.
That hurts so bad. Okay, but I'm sticking with A-Rob this week. You know, against not so great Falcons secondary, but you know, if he doesn't perform here, I'm gonna be really sad. It's gonna be a sad day for Playboy Marty.
Moody, you got any Bears you like at all in this thing?
Yeah, Allen Robinson's the only guy that you can start. If maybe David Montgomery if you're hurting for a running back, but no, Trubisky for me, he's a bit of a dumpster fire. I don't really want anything to do with this Bears offense. But yeah, if you have Allen Robinson, he's a guy that probably has to be in your lineup still, especially this week. And like you just said, if he can't do it this week, maybe you start looking away. But this is a week he has to be out there.
Yeah, 4th round pick. I just got to go with it. And what did we say we were going to do last week? Like a drop city? What were we calling it?
Drop City, I think is what it was.
Or whatever it is. Okay, well, there's a lot of Bears. There's a lot of Bears to throw in there. Anthony Miller, Tariq Cohen, Jimmy Graham. Get them off your teams. Get them all off your teams.
I agree.
Like I said, none of them are on any of mine because of my no drafting Chicago offensive guys this year. There's always a few teams where you have you're like, I don't want anything to do with any of it. They were at the top of my list.
Should have been more on it.
New York Jets head to Indy. Just interesting point spread stuff. Indy's laying 11 here. Pro football game.
A lot.
Wow. The Jets haven't shown much reason to believe, though. I mean, times are Certainly rough, and for a reason. I know, Moody, you always like Jamison Crowder. He was hurt last week. I don't.
He's out.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I don't.
Nothing.
I don't like much here.
Yeah, I don't like anything with the Jets except for Crowder. He's the only thing I like. He's not even playing, so I literally do not like a single thing to do with this Jets team. There's probably going to be somebody that pops up and scores enough fantasy points for us to talk about them next week, but they're not going to be worth owning this week. I think the Colts beat the mess out of them here. I think the storyline is Jonathan Taylor. In my personal opinion, he's a monster. He's the real deal. And I think he is going to be the Indianapolis Colts running back for a long time. And we're going to be talking about Jonathan Taylor and what he did the week before on this show a lot, I have a feeling. So watch for him to beat up on this Jets team. And I think Phillip Rivers throws a couple scores in this one as well. I think Indy might even cover.
I want to ask if you're desperate at tight end, the Allie Cox, who had over 100 yards last week. Rivers loves throwing to tight ends. Moody, Jack Doyle was out last week, so obviously that's a big part of it.
That's what you have to pay attention to, right? If Doyle comes back, maybe Doyle's the play. He's very clearly their starting tight end, but this is a team that we've seen go 2 tight end sets in the red zone a ton over the last couple of years. So I think Allie Cox is a very talented athlete. Hands, okay. Well, I think he was a basketball player, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Old Dominion.
He can leap a little bit, big body.
ODU?
Yeah, big body guy. He can go up and get it. So somebody to pay attention to, especially if Doyle is out. I'll look real quick and see what the deal is on Doyle, but got to pay attention to that part of it.
See, yeah. I'm completely out on the Jets. I was completely out on all Jets, even Le'Veon, and now with him out, just absolutely no one. I couldn't agree more with Moody that Jonathan Taylor is looking like a big-time NFL player, and it bothers me so much because there's a guy in my college league that took him second round, which was a horrible pick, but it's working out for him, and it makes me so angry that that's a thing. And a lot of people added Nyheim Hines. Yeah. I think he's a risky play when the Colts are projected to win, so I don't really love him here. And all I really have to say is that I think the Jets' defense has been really hard to gauge. I mean, everyone says, like, oh, they're really good against the run.
But they busted an 80-yarder to start the game last week against them.
That's true. Well, yeah, like they're actually giving up more points to running backs than wide receivers. For Indy, I think I like Ty now with Campbell being out. But other than that, that's about all I have to say about this game.
That's fair.
I still like Ty here. I like Ty a little bit.
Let's move on. Carolina at the LA Chargers. We talked about the Tyrod Taylor stuff. Bridgewater and Justin Hebert starting in this game.
All right,
we're rolling with it. And I know everybody's going to correct us. No, we're
the luscious locks of Justin Hebert.
Yeah, we work for ESPN Baton Rouge. His last name's Hebert, and it is what it is. All right, you mentioned you think Carolina, DJ Moore, and Anderson's value. Hey, Robbie Anderson's looked pretty good through 2 weeks.
He has. Ooh, there we go. Yeah, no. I really do. I think Carolina is going to be down a lot. They're going to get a lot of volume. Teddy too. That's just how I think it's going to go. And I messed up. I do a similar thing to what you do, Ments. Before all my drafts, I write down a couple teams that I'm just not drafting anybody on, and I had Carolina except McCaffrey. And I like and I was actually very vocal about DJ Moore being the biggest sucker pick in the entire draft. And I'm looking real dumb. I think it might be Allen Robinson.
Well, I still wouldn't feel very good about DJ Moore either, in my opinion. The guy to have in this offense, it looks like, is Robbie Anderson, because the one thing Teddy can do is throw the football down the field, and Robbie Anderson can go down the field and get it. So it looks like that's the guy right now, if you're taking a chance with this Carolina receiving core. I personally am not.
I'm impressed with this Chargers defense through 2 weeks. Very impressed by holding KC to 9 into the fourth quarter, and then they held Cincinnati to 13. I mean, I'm not. I don't really like anybody on Carolina's offense this game, to be complete.
No, the only people I really like in this game is Eckler, Hunter Henry, and Keenan Allen. That's about it.
And everybody's just rejoicing.
No one's playing Mike Davis?
Yeah.
I didn't get him with the number one waiver.
Oh, I got him with number 2. Wait. Y'all think he's a no play this week? Is that what we're saying?
I mean, I don't love him against the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you got to start. It just depends on your roster. But
what are your other options? Yeah, what are your other options? I think that's the biggest question here.
Dude, honestly, I jumble all my leagues. I jumble all my leagues together. Let me think.
All right, we'll talk about it at the end of the game.
Let's just
we'll talk about it after the
Let's
show.
go to the desert where, man.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about this Arizona situation.
Let's talk about it.
Look, Kyler Murray, I mean, against the Niners and the Redskins, or Washington football team, I apologize. Those two defenses I respect. I think the Murray train is for real, and Detroit, with what I've seen on defense the last couple weeks, I mean, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, both just monsters this week. Kenyon Drake got a lot more of the share last week than Edmonds. I know that was a big topic for debate on the show. Edmonds didn't do too much. I think this could be a big breakout. I mean, this is just going to be – I kind of feel like there's a similarity. I'm going to go ahead and start this. When the Saints got really good in the Superdome back in the early part of the Sean Payton era where they'd score all those points and blow people out at home and, like, you had to jump the gun on Vegas like it was like a party betting the Saints in the over at home.
Yeah.
I think that's about to be what's going on with Arizona. Let's just get on it now because this fast track on the desert with these weapons, I think Arizona and over in a lot of games at home from a gambling perspective.
Oh, I like their spread 5.5 against Detroit.
Yeah.
I know this isn't a gambling show, but good Lord, Kyler Murray, lethal.
Yeah,
lethal. That's all I can say. And just give him D-Hop. Just give him D-Hop for nothing. Like, yeah, I mean, golly, I just can't believe the Cardinals have a cool offense. It's like the first time they've ever had a cool offense.
Oh, man, Arians don't hate.
Huh?
The Arians era was good.
Yeah, Arians.
They weren't cool, though. Carson Palmer, quarterback.
Oh, man, I liked it. Fitzy and John Brown and David Johnson. It wasn't bad. It wasn't
Michael
as good as
Floyd.
this.
Yeah. Wait. They could have had Melvin Ingram in that draft. Either way. Yeah, no, I mean it's pretty amazing. Sorry, lost my train of thought a little bit. The Kenyon Drake thing, he definitely got decisively more carries than Edmonds, so it's not as much of a battle as we previously feared. But I do think Edmonds is still a decent stash in a deep league. Drake injury, always possible, and don't love playing other Cardinals receivers besides DeAndre Hopkins, like. Christian Kirk, I don't think you can really trust yet. And
Fitzy and Andy Isabella caught a couple balls last week.
Isabella, yeah, is decent. I think I'd put him above Fitz. I don't think Fitz. I think Fitz's fantasy days are done.
Yeah, well, he did. He had a good run. You know, I mean, he's been doing it since like 2005. So
yeah, but hey, I'll just over under 3.5 MVPs for Kyler Murray in his career. Moody, what do you think?
Under, but
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. There's only one person who's won 3, and that's Peyton Manning. So.
But I think he could get one.
Well, no, the thing,
one this year.
he could be the second year. No, we've seen the second year QBs. I mean, Wentz was on his way to one a few years ago until he tore his knee up in week 15, and then we saw Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. I mean, the second year,
the sophomore year, yeah,
the sophomore QB, and it seems like Kyler Murray is the guy this year that's got that shot. Man, just they're so fun to watch too. It's so fun to watch. I just wish we still had the Badger. That's the only thing I wish. Yeah, well, either way, enjoying life in Arizona. I think this game. Look, Galladay's supposed to go this week, as last I heard. Have y'all heard any more? Yeah, that's what. All signs are pointing towards him playing for sure. Well, I think this game smells like a shootout, and you can play Stafford, Galladay, and T.J. Hawkinson, a lot of the Detroit guys. I think this thing's. I mean, the over/under is 55. I think this is a. The Detroit running back situation is too murky with the 3 guys. But as far as I play Detroit's passing game here too. Yeah, I don't know. Moody, go ahead.
I love Stafford this week. I'm a Matthew Stafford backer. I think he's a great quarterback. I love the fact that Galladay will be back. This sets up for a shootout. Like I'm taking the words out of your mouth, but it plays right into Matthew Stafford's hands. No quarterback probably in the last 4 years has played these type of games that's going to happen on Sunday than Matthew Stafford has, where he's throwing the football late and he puts up 15 points for you in the fourth quarter. Like that could be Matthew Stafford on Sunday, and I personally love it.
Yeah, I mean, I really want him to improve this week with the Galladay edition. I think in one quarterback leagues, if he doesn't do well this week, I think could be borderline droppable. And I'm just so low on Detroit right now. And, I mean, especially the running backs. I mean, that three-headed backfield is just horrible for fantasy. It always has been. Thoughts and prayers to people that bought high on DeAndre Swift. Yeah. That pick's just not working out this year. Sorry if you did it.
All right, let's get to Bucks and Denver. Look, Tampa Bay with the win last week. Leonard Fournette busting it out. He had 12 carries for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. I was impressed with that. Mike Evans got in the end zone. Godwin missed last week with a concussion. Evans and Godwin both starting the year kind of banged up. So Brady hadn't, he had a better game last week, but still hadn't gotten in a rhythm. I actually am still like, if you can get Brady in a 2-quarterback league cheap, I actually like it right now because I think the chemistry of this offense is going to improve as the year goes on.
Oh, yeah.
And with Evans and Godwin getting healthy, I think Brady's a great buy low guy because he's had, some short-sighted owners could be a little trigger happy with him after a couple weeks.
Yeah, no, anyone selling Brady, I just thought was like very much jumping the gun, and I like this Tampa offense, I really do, and I think Fournette could be in for a big game this week. I figured he'd come along more, anyway as the season went on, and he got more and more used to the offense, but that Ronald Jones fumble, I think, helped his cause a lot. I think if you're a Fournette owner this week, you're feeling pretty good, and I know I said it earlier when we were talking about injuries, but start Jerry Jeudy this week. I really like that play this week. Especially, I mean, you drafted him for a reason. Play him right here.
I think Tampa smacks Denver in this game. For me, Denver's a bottom 6 team in the NFL right now, maybe bottom 8. But either way, I don't think they're a very good football team. I think Tampa Bay rolls through them right here. I think Brady has a big game. I think we see the Chris Godwin and Tom Brady connection start to form. And I think we'll probably see late in this game Leonard Fournette take over this backfield. He had a big run for a touchdown last week. He looked good. He's definitely going to see some carries early on in this game as well. But I think if Tampa's up late, it's going to be like, hey, Fournette, go finish this game for us. And there'll be a chance for him to solidify that he's the lead back in this backfield. So a very important game to pay attention to here for Tampa Bay, actually, I think, from a fantasy perspective and what they could become in the future because you're going to have Evans healthy. You should have Godwin got cleared for concussion protocol. So you're going to get a chance this week maybe to start to find out who they're going to be on a week-to-week basis because we're still kind of in that question mark phase with them.
Dallas and Seattle, got to like a lot of fantasy stuff from this one. Dak Prescott, first ever to throw for over 400 yards with 3 rushing touchdowns last week. He's continued to just be a monster in fantasy. Obviously you got to start Zeke Elliott. I want to ask about Dalton Schultz, who replaced Blake Jarwin. He had a ton of targets last week. Moody, do you think if you're desperate tight end, or is it just a fluke?
Yeah, No, I don't think it's a fluke. I think we've seen that there's some value built into the Dallas Cowboys tight end. Dalton Schultz, not an incredible athlete, not a great route runner, but he's got a starting role now in the NFL and an offense. He's got a lot of other weapons, and teams may forget about him, especially in the red zone. So are you super confident against Seattle? Heck no, do not start Dalton Schultz this week, please. Maybe he catches a touchdown, but this Seattle defense is for real. They shut down Hayden Hurst in week 1. I think whoever's at tight end probably will get shut down a little bit. They're probably not going to take Jamal Adams, though, and shadow Schultz with him. I don't think that's going to happen. So Schultz maybe gets a catch or two here. It'll be a little better than Hayden Hurst's performance. But I like Dalton Schultz moving forward. I think there's a little bit of value there, but I would not start him against one of the teams that I think is the best in the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, Cam Newton threw for almost 400 yards last week. I'm not willing to say. Seattle is one of the best teams in the league, but I'm not. They've allowed a lot. They've allowed 55 points the last 2 weeks.
I'm a bench Michael Gallup this week.
It's just hard with him and Amari. And
forever.
CeeDee Lamb's looking pretty good.
I think CeeDee's good.
CeeDee looks really good. It's just Dallas has got so many guys to get the ball to that they almost kind of detract from each other a little bit.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what more I can say about this game. I guess Chris Carson is just a solid RB1. It's been less of a committee than we thought.
Moody was big on Carson.
Yeah. Love him.
You do? Yeah, okay. Well, good for you. I think we all still like Hyde as a bench stash, though. I've got him. I'm hanging on to him until I have to drop him. And I just got to talk about your boy Metcalf.
Yeah, dude. DK Metcalf. Dear God. And we got to talk about the Russell Wilson thing, too. How pretty these deep balls are. Wilson's completing 82% of his passes through 2 weeks. He had 5 touchdown passes last week. But, man, this Wilson DK Metcalf bomb down the field thing's it's a problem.
It's
a problem.
Russ is close to the Mahomes Jackson tier if he's not already there. Are we in agreement there?
Oh, as far as are you talking about in fantasy or in real life?
Well,
in real life, he's definitely there.
Right.
Fantasy, he's getting there with the way they're opening up the offense more. But no, I think that
obviously real life. He's
but
just DK. For a guy that was going 4th, 5th round in fantasy leagues this year, which is usually some guy that's like maybe a starter sit. You don't really know, but he's. The way he just toasted Stephon Gilmore, the defensive player of the year last year. He's absolutely matchup proof. Absolutely matchup proof.
I think he's a number one WR. In fantasy. I think he is.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Not saying number one overall, but
he's
for
a must
fantasy,
start.
Yeah,
he's a must start.
He's a must start, but like he's a if you're a 10 or 12 team league, he's a number one WR.
No doubt.
I think he's that good.
Well, you just said it. He's matchup proof. Like Stephon Gilmore's a big body back that can run. He couldn't do anything with DK in this game. One of the things that makes Stephon Gilmore so incredible, right, is that he jams you better than anybody in the league, and he doesn't let you really get a good release off the line. DK Metcalf was just getting any release he wanted off the line because he's too dang strong. And then when you get to running, he's faster than you too. Man's dangerous, and I did not realize he was going to be this good. He's still dropping footballs, though, right? The knock on him coming out is that the hands are not that great. There is going to be a week where you're really upset with him if he dropped a touchdown that would have won you a week. But you'll live with it. But you'll live with it because he put up 24 points the week before. You know what I mean? So I really like DK. I like this offense. I think they're the real deal. Love Chris Carson. Russell Wilson right now, I know it's only 2 weeks, is the front runner for the MVP. So this Seahawks team's the real deal.
Lockett's solid in PPR leagues too. I like the way Lockett.
I love Lockett.
Lockett and Metcalf, just their skill sets complement each other so well.
This is a good team.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh, sure. And you got to also credit's got to be given here. I always thought Brian Schottenheimer was one of the worst offensive coordinators in pro football with how conservative he is. And Seattle's, they used to just run. They used to be so conservative, just pounding it. They throw on first down now, finally. And look what's they've finally unleashed.
They throw on 3rd and 1 too.
They finally unleashed the Russell Wilson.
Yeah, they should have lost that game.
Oh, wait.
Sorry, I'm going on non-fantasy. I just can't believe they threw that bomb on 3rd and 1.
Yeah, late in the game, but they pulled it out. What a big stop of Cam on the 1 yard line. But that Dallas Seattle, do not expect that one to be low scoring. A lot of high over unders late. Let's talk about Green Bay and New Orleans. Let's mention Moody. You talked about Devonte Adams' hamstring. How worried are you about this?
He's going to play, but I'm not as confident as I was in week 1 about him. I'll say actually he didn't practice today. There's a chance.
He's still saying he plans to play though.
Right, and I think he will, right? I think he'll be out there. Is he 100%? Yeah. Clearly he's not. I think there's also a small chance that he could sit. If they were playing anyone except for a team that may challenge them for, a home field advantage throughout the playoffs, he might sit this week. But because you're playing a team in the Saints that are more than likely going to be a top 4 team in the NFC, maybe I'll be wrong. But right now, looking forward, we all assume that this is one of the teams that will battle for a top spot. So I think Devonte Adams must be out there, even if he's not 100%. But look, man, Lattimore, pretty dang good. We've seen him shut guys down when they're 100%. So I'm not huge on Devonte Adams this week, but the problem is he has to be in your lineup if he plays. He's that guy. So he's risky this week, sure, but he's still Devonte Adams as well.
Yeah. No, I thought Aaron Jones looked great too. I mean, granted it is Detroit, and that's a guy I talked so much trash about going into this league. I said he was the biggest. He was probably my biggest regression candidate in the entire league. And now if you did a redraft, he goes first round almost 100%. He looks pretty good. I say hang on to Lazard and Valdez-Scantling right now. Especially in a deep league. Even though they didn't get scores last week, that offense is humming. And Adams with the injury concern, I think those are good stash candidates.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
I mean,
Aaron Rodgers.
Green Bay's pretty similar. I mean, you're starting Rodgers, Adams, and Aaron Jones every week, obviously, now, Roger, with the way they're playing. And on the Saints side of it, look, I mean, I hadn't had Brees in fantasy the last couple of years as he's, as the explosiveness and the deep balls have kind of, gone down. He's more efficient. And I still think, look, I know people are hitting the panic button on the Saints, and that's been the hot button topic here at Sports Radio. Look, I mean, get ready for the similar to the Alex Smith Chiefs that won and did it in a boring way with Brees. It's going to be that's what it's going to be. I mean, it's going to be death by paper cuts, and it's going to be a short, efficient offense, and hopefully he's going to take care of the football. And it's not going to be that explosive, but if they win the turnover battle and start playing better on D, you can win with it.
Yeah.
I don't think that as far as fantasy goes, though, it's he can do good in some home games.
Yeah, from a fantasy perspective, Drew Brees is absolutely not a QB1 in any league right now. And I know people took him probably earlier than they should have in some drafts. Michael Thomas being out isn't the problem with Drew Brees. It's just not. He can't get the ball downfield like he used to. I know everyone's been saying it. That's not exactly a cutting edge take, but I think it. I don't know. I think Traquan Smith. I know he dropped that easy ball, but he still had a decent game, and I think they should keep him involved. a little bit even after Michael Thomas returns. But the biggest thing I can say about the Saints right now is that Alvin Kamara is still awesome.
Yeah, Kamara looks amazing.
And that he's probably the only player on this team that's not hurt by the Brees decline. Right?
Yeah, because he's catching.
Yeah.
I know Jared Cook had a bad game last week, but I still am not giving up on him. I like that you mentioned Saquon Smith. Emmanuel Sanders looks like he's struggling to learn the offense from what I'm hearing. I still think he could have some value, could be okay for the Saints in the second half of the year. But right now, I mean, you can't start him. I mean, he was in a spot where you had to love his situation going into Monday and gave you nothing. I think that, obviously that's a pretty big concern. Taysom Hill, I wish Taysom Hill had tight end eligibility in my Yahoo league. I wish he did.
I thought he was supposed to. That was like a big deal.
No, he's QB in mine, and so I wouldn't,
That was like a story in the offseason. We talked to Huge about it.
Yeah, well, apparently he lied. That's.
And this might sound kind of crazy. I think this is one of the biggest games the entire season in New Orleans.
Oh, I think it is too. No, it's so crazy too. On my front, look, I expect a huge Saints effort. Public's all giving up on the Saints after the Monday night road loss, and Green Bay's been anointed the second coming after 2 weeks.
Their defense hasn't been good.
No, this is a spot where, look, I look for a bounce back up from Saints. I think the Saints win this game. And I think, I'm getting kind of killed on radio for that stance this week. But you know what?
You like the spread?
I mean, I think the Saints are the right side.
3.
Yeah, I just the no Mike Thomas thing though. I mean that the no Mike Thomas thing and the fan Superdome. I wish there were fans in there too.
I just think people would get distracted by when offenses perform well. I really don't think this Green Bay defense has been anything special.
No, they haven't, but they did. They spent a lot of draft capital the last couple of years on the defense, and think of who they were. They were the worst defense in history 3 years ago. So they've taken leaps and bounds from where they were. But I agree, they're still middle of the pack at best on defense. I think the Saints may take the air out of the football in this one, try and run the ball, kill some clock. I mean, you're not. I don't think they're going to go light it up and want to run up and down the field right now with Green Bay the way they're clicking. I think you'll see some gimmicky stuff from the Saints in this game. It feels like Sean Payton may pull out all the tricks to do anything to get this win.
Yeah, and look, the Saints, I think it's a good bounce back spot for them. And if they can get a win here, the schedule's nice the next few weeks. So, certainly we'll see. Let's get to Monday night. Well, I mean, gosh, what a game. And we'll be doing game time at Ivar's on Monday. Super pumped about that. I highly suggest Ivar's too. Has
Come drink with
us. Sunday ticket as well if you want to watch some fantasy games. Man, this Monday game. I mean, Mahomes, Lamar. I mean, what's not to love here? That much is for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, these are two electric teams, and if we're gonna go at it from a fantasy perspective, I got a lot to say about Baltimore. Their backfield is gonna drive me absolutely nuts this year.
Yeah, now that Gus Edwards is like when the game gets out of hand, they put Gus Edwards in there now,
right?
And their games get out of hand a lot.
And J.K. Dobbins looks the best, and they barely give him the ball.
Yeah, he had 2 carries last week.
Right. Like, he barely touched the ball, but he still looks the best to me. Edwards got all the closeout carries, so he could be relevant in certain leagues. I mean, Ingram got bailed out with that direct snap touchdown, but, he's like a maybe flex play. Like, their backfield is just a fantasy nightmare. I don't know what to make of it at all.
Yeah. No, you're right. It sucks because I think a lot of people drafted Mark Ingram in the top 4 rounds.
Yeah,
or fifth, or fifth round,
Sash.
somewhere in that 4 to 5 round area. And it's like, man, he's hurting a lot of people right now. Again, this is my take on this backfield. I think as the year progresses and J.K. Dobbins is going to become the guy, and then once they get into playoffs, I think Mark Ingram's going to have a lot. They don't want to burn Mark Ingram, right? He's an older back. He's got a lot of wear on his legs, and you got these 2 younger backs. They can carry the football and get you through, so why not exhaust him early on in the season? And Mark Ingram kind of steps into that role once you get into the postseason, and he becomes your bell cow, and J.K. Dobbins and then rotate in. That's what I think will happen. That's a long ways off, and it doesn't factor into fantasy right now. Right now, you have to kind of stay away from that backfield.
And obviously, Mark Andrews must start every week, and I think you got to, as long as Hollywood Brown's healthy. I know he's boom or bust kind of type guy. He's a guy that doesn't necessarily catch the most balls, but he can bust big ones.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, and I'm gonna reiterate that again. If you were lucky enough to draft Marquise Brown in fantasy league this year, just congratulations, what a pick! Like that dude's really good. But as far as KC goes, I mean, we like their main guys. I think the Sammy Watkins trust is absolutely gone. You can't roll with him. Now. You can't roll with Mecole Hardman.
No, the thing is, DeMarcus Robinson and Watkins and Mecole Hardman, you don't know who's getting it. Then Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce are monsters. Yeah. You know Mahomes is, and obviously if you have Edwards-Helaire, you got to roll with them.
I think Watkins and Mecole are rosterable, but that's about it at this point. And with Darrell Williams being banged up, Darwin Thompson is next in line if Clyde goes down. So, Darwin Thompson, keep your
Don't you dare. Don't even mention it.
I said if.
I know. I'm just joking. You're right. What you said is absolutely correct. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I got a lot of stock in him right now.
Invested heavily in the Clyde.
I'm a CHE fan for sure. But this is going to be such an incredible game, guys. We're talking about the two premier quarterbacks, especially from a fantasy perspective, the last two MVPs, the two highest flying offenses in the NFL. Like, this is going to be exciting on Monday night. And maybe the most exciting thing, there are so many fantasy teams that are going to have players playing on Monday night. Most league games will be decided on Monday night, and I love that. That makes it so much fun when you have two teams that have a lot of rosterable players. That makes Monday night really fun. And I think this will be one of the more exciting Monday nights for people in fantasy this year.
I'm wearing my Patrick Mahomes Tyreek Hill 2018 shirt right now, and I got to say, in my big $500 buy-in league, I have Mahomes and Tyreek, and there's nothing more fun than just destroying. When they hit those 60-yard bombs, you get like 30 points. And
in my college league, the last two seasons, I had Mahomes and Tyreek. They let me get him two times in a row. It was crazy, and I beat one of my friends twice in 1 year, like on Mahomes Tyreek bombs.
It's just not even. It can't be fun to play against at all in fantasy when you just know, like even like a game like Sunday when the Chiefs had 9 points in the fourth, Mahomes hits that uncorked, rolls right, hits that 54-yarder to Tyreek. I mean, it's a lot of fun for me as a fantasy owner to just it's one of the most fun quarterback receiver combos I've ever I've ever had.
Brady Moss, but it was pretty fun.
I'm sure.
But yeah. We're actually kind of running a little long. If we wanted to get to our mailbag segment, is that?
Yeah, we got a few mailbags.
Yeah. We got a few. Let's see. We've got. Should I start Zach Moss or Dion Lewis in a 12-man league? Connor O'Neill.
We don't have any idea if it's PPR or not. He doesn't mention that.
No, let's just do both.
I mean, I think if it's 0 point PPR, I'd go Moss, but I'd go if it's half point or full point PPR, I'd go Lewis.
Sure. Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
All right.
We've got Dion Lewis or Gaskin.
I don't trust Myles Gaskin. I just don't trust him.
I don't trust Dion Lewis either.
I don't either. Oh, it's a bad matchup. I don't like it. But I'm.
What league is this? Where this guy has this?
He must have some. He probably had Saquon.
It's like
that's why he's got Dion.
League.
It's probably had Dion Lewis.
Yeah. Here's a weird one. We've got Burrow, Mahomes, or Wilson this week.
Burrow's not involved in that conversation yet. I don't care how big of an LSU fan you are. Like you can't. I mean, Mahomes. You can't put him in there with Mahomes.
What league does this guy have Mahomes, Wilson, and Burrow?
Interesting. The Mahomes versus Wilson debate. I'd actually go Wilson.
Hey, Jeremy, send me a DM and tell me what kind of league you're in.
I'm going Wilson over Mahomes. Wilson playing Dallas and Mahomes at Baltimore. And y'all know I'm the biggest Patrick Mahomes fan, but I think you have to go Wilson against Dallas. What I've seen at Dallas. I mean, I don't. Look, don't get me wrong. Chiefs will score some points, but Chiefs at Baltimore. I mean, it ain't all roses.
Lewis or Gaskin respond. It's PPR. Said he had McCaffrey, Le'Veon, and Tariq Cohen. So, sorry, Chris.
Man, it's brutal, man.
He trusted Jets and Bears.
Yeah, that's my buddy Chris Rakel there. I would say I would lean towards Dion Lewis as well in that one. I'm going to tell you. So Jeremy Aldridge sent in the message about Burrow, Mahomes, and Wilson. Trade if it's a one quarterback league, trade Mahomes or Wilson. Trade one of them, get a running back, a receiver, a tight end, whatever you need.
Doubt.
You don't need to have the conversation with yourself every single week about which one of these guys should I start. Pick whichever one you feel the most comfortable with, trade them away, go get an elite receiver, tight end, whatever your team needs. Make that trade happen this week and set yourself up for the long run. And then you got Burrow as your backup. If something happens to Mahomes or Wilson, you can slot Burrow in there. I think that's probably the option I would be looking at moving forward, is trading one of those two guys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is kind of an interesting one. Okay, so we got DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, DJ Chark, Tyler Boyd, need 2. PPR.
I'm I'm going Tyler.
I like Chark.
I like Tyler Boyd a little bit against Philly.
Really?
A little bit.
I like Boyd and Cup for me. Yeah, Boyd and Cup.
I'm going to go with Boyd and Cup too, and I promise I don't.
I'm going Chark. I'm going Chark and Boyd. I think Chark is a really big touchdown threat this year. I think Miami's pass defense is so bad.
No, their pass D is bad. Jacksonville. It's hard to know with Cole, Chenault, Shark. I mean, they kind of spread it out, so it makes it a little hard.
Look,
hadn't Chark scored both games?
The Shark looks good. I'm not saying
I think
that.
so. Yeah. But here's the deal. I think Cup is the must start of this group. It's a PPR league. Who do you expect? If you said, hey, who's going to catch the most balls out of this group? I think it's pretty clearly Cooper Cup, right? And then Chark and Boyd become a very interesting debate for me. DJ Moore is not even in the conversation, in my opinion. But Chark and Boyd, they're an interesting debate. I think Boyd showed really well in the second half of that game last week. It looked like him and Burrow started to create that rapport that you want to see. But the Chark, like you just mentioned, Marty, he's caught a couple touchdowns this year, and going back to last year, he was a threat. So that's an interesting debate. Chark and Boyd, really tough.
It's very close. I'm going to lean Boyd slightly, but it's very close. I mean, I think a very solid argument could be made for both. I've got one I want to ask. I got the desperation tight end thing. Dalton Schultz at Seattle or Jordan Reed at the Giants if you're desperate.
Jordan Reed.
Okay.
Jordan Reed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that answers that pretty quick. Do we have any? Do y'all have any more?
Yeah, we got it. Looks like Chris in another one here. Gasecki or Ali Thomas. I'm 2-0, but I'm obviously not that happy about my team.
I'm going with Gasecki.
If Doyle doesn't play, if Doyle doesn't play, maybe Mo Ali Thomas is startable, but it looks like Doyle probably plays. So I think Gasecki is probably the option here.
Seems like Gasecki and Fitzy have a good little chemistry going too.
Could be.
They built it up. He had a good second half of the season last year.
Yeah.
Well, do we have any more?
We had a few more on YouTube. Let's hit these.
No, let's hit them. Our YouTube, and hey, for our guys watching on the Facebook live stream, please subscribe to the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel.
Absolutely. And follow us on Twitter. Our handles are on the screen.
PJ Fleck, do you think Devontae Freeman can be a good RB3 in fantasy this week? I mean, can Freeman be an RB3 once he gets the full workload? Yeah.
I think it'd be a 3.
Oh, once he gets the full workload, sure. I'm not playing him this week. Are y'all? If y'all had him?
No. He's a good flex moving forward, though. I think 2 weeks from now we're gonna be like, yeah, Devontae Freeman is the flex. And
yeah, I got him in a league. I don't hate it. I would have rather gotten Mike Davis or McKinnon, but I don't hate that I have Devontae Freeman.
Fair. Kobe Gwynn says, how do y'all feel about AJ Green? Talked about him a bit earlier in the show. I think he's gonna have a good week against Philadelphia. They're bad in the secondary.
Very mixed bag.
Really, it comes down to targets. Yeah.
Again, yeah. There's a glass half empty way of looking at it, where you go, he had 3 catches and he looked old. The glass half full is he had 13 targets, and Joe Burrow seems to like him. So
it's obviously a priority for Burrow to get him the ball. I mean, that's more than
roll with him for now. I say roll with him for now.
Okay.
I agree. Final question, it looks like here from Wesley Randall. Deontay Johnson or Antonio Gibson in a half-point PPR?
Deontay. He's leading the team in targets. You got to play Deontay. Right?
It's a tough one. What did let me look at this real quick.
So this one is tough. I'm going Deontay.
Towards the running back.
I know. I went in doubt you do, but I think I'm going with Deontay. I just hate the Washington football team offense.
Yeah, I know. And I think Pittsburgh is probably.
And Cleveland's not really allowing a whole lot of points to running backs.
No, they're not. Yeah, I think Deontay Johnson is the Texans probably. If it was anybody else.
I also have him in both leagues, so I'm biased there. That's why I was that quick to say Deontay. But I'm had time to think about it. I'm rolling Deontay on there.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the listeners interacting with the questions, and we're going to continue pushing the show on Wednesday nights on our YouTube live on ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that.
This
we're
is
also
fun,
on
boys.
our Facebook Live. Oh, yeah. I was looking on the Facebook Live. We had 15, 20. We were having some solid, solid numbers. People love the fantasy football. And, just to be honest, I love what we're doing here. ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel, if y'all subscribe. I mean, if you like LSU or the Saints, it's more than covered. But I like what we're bringing to the table.
Me too.
Adding the fantasy.
Something different.
Yep, exactly. And appreciate Tyler Moody joining us on Zoom from Shreveport.
Yeah, always, guys. Look, I appreciate y'all so much for allowing me to be a part of this. I think we all know, a huge fantasy nerd. I love this, man. It's blessed to be a part of it. Honored to be y'all's friend, man. Really and truly, you've been great to me all these years, Ben. Happy to know you guys. So thanks for allowing me to be a part of this again.
Moody, I cannot stress enough how much better you make this show.
Well, thank you, bro. I appreciate you.
I mean, the history of this really came from the
right. Yeah,
so
this is y'all. I'm lucky to be here.
The mixing it up, like I did 4 years of sports radio in Shreveport Bossier, and Moody was my co-host for 2 of them before there were a few. Well, water under the bridge, but basically, what the show took off when Moody became part of the coast, and we were Louisiana's only fantasy football hour, and that was a big part of. Shreveport was a lot different market than Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge runs so much off LSU, but Shreveport's a melting pot. The Saints and the Cowboys, and there's no real college, no D1 colleges. I don't hate on the pilots, Moody.
It's all good.
But
wait, so y'all did an hour every day just on fantasy football?
Yes. I mean, not like during football season.
Right, obviously.
Yeah.
Only during football. Yeah.
No, yeah, dude. We did.
I mean, that would have been ridiculous if you're like in March.
Granted, it was a 4-hour show, and we were just sending it every day, man. There was a lot of information. We went through a lot of stuff. 4 hours to fill.
Oh, I didn't know y'all were doing 4. I didn't know you were doing 4.
Look, it was wild because I started out there and had no experience, and then I got told you're 4 hours a day, and it was you just trial by fire, but you get better and you learn, and I certainly think we did that. And it's fun to get Moody back going on again. And we're getting good response to this fantasy show. And, don't be surprised. We've got a lot
we ain't stopping.
No, we're just starting. And, man, the videos Marty's doing on the previews, they're out of control. I mean,
go back and watch it. Not enough people watched the one this week.
Yeah, I think it was black. The black part at the beginning, may have, people didn't realize.
Yeah, just go back and go to the ESPN Baton Rouge Facebook. Or actually, the Facebook or Twitter. You'll find it. Put a lot of work into it. I thought it was pretty funny, and we're gonna keep bringing the heat.
Heck yeah, fellas! Well, thank y'all for watching us on the ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube live channel and our Facebook Live, and we'll be back next Wednesday, and hopefully everybody has a good fantasy weekend. Let's just knock on wood there are less injuries this week too. While we're at it.
Please.
All right, y'all take it easy. Thank
y'all.
All
right, I gotta go in the stream. Joe bailed.
All right, thank y'all for listening to watching and listening to Dear Mr. Fantasy on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. YouTube Live, and for Tyler Moody and Playboy Marty, I'm Ben Mintz signing out, and I'll be all over ESPN Baton Rouge tomorrow with Off the Bench at 8. I've got a quick turnaround here in 8 hours to be back here for my 6-pack of picks, and we got football Sunday in Natchez this Sunday, and a lot of good stuff to look forward to as we get ready for LSU's first game week with Mississippi State, 2:30 Saturday.
Thank you to everybody that took some time to watch. It's one thing we always did, Ben. We ended our show saying thank you to everybody that took some time. So I want to appreciate everyone for kicking it with us on a Wednesday night talking for fantasy football.